Northeast. So let's go ahead and get right into it, starting off with the Storm Prediction Center outlook for tomorrow. You'll notice this dark green shade here. That means you are under a marginal risk of severe weather tomorrow if you're inside of this area. This includes the western part of the Michigan Upper Peninsula, and this includes northeastern parts of Wisconsin as well. This is going to include the city of Green Bay, Wisconsin. This is actually going to go right along the city line there. It's going to be kind of, again, the northwest side of the city is literally included in it, but the southeast side isn't. One of those situations where it splits literally right down the middle. But we've also got towns like Houghton, Michigan, Marquette, Michigan, Escanaba, Michigan, and then Merrill, Wisconsin. What's up, Toronto Raptor? What's up, Gooseman? Good to see everybody back here once again. Again, I am tired of not having any severe weather to stream live for, so we're just going to do some forecast live until things actually pick up quite a bit. But give me just a second here. My nose is a little stuffy. Let me fix that up. Alright, we should be good to go now. So, again, marginal risk of severe weather for tomorrow. Alright, this is going out for almost 1 million people, actually, across parts of the upper Midwest here. So, let's go ahead and take a look at what the HRRR model is showing for this event here. So we can see that right now we don't really have anything going on up here in the upper Midwest, and we're not really going to have anything for the next few hours. Do you think Sunday could get a slight risk? I actually do think that, and we're going to talk about why here in just a little bit, but I guess the newest run of the HRRR here isn't quite, it's not quite loaded yet, so we'll have to look at the run from last hour, okay? So we can see that we've got showers and thunderstorms in parts of Canada here, and these are going to be what kind of sets up our severe weather event. We're going to see some of these dip down into parts of Wisconsin and Michigan and become strong to severe. Unfortunately, the HRRR is just not reaching out far enough here to get that full forecast. But if we go back to the 18Z, I believe, we should be able to see the full, like 60-hour run or whatever. So, yes, we can. So, it's showing that around 7 p.m. tomorrow, right? Tomorrow evening, we could be talking about, again, some thunderstorms and thunder showers starting to enter parts of northwestern Wisconsin and just the far western portion of the Michigan UP there. Thunder Bay, Canada would be another spot to look out for. I know that's a decently populated region. By 8 and 9 p.m., this is where the storms become severe with a threat for damaging winds and maybe some isolated large hail all the way from Houghton back down to Merrill. And again, also back into parts of Canada. I know we don't have many Canadian viewers, but if you are up here in Canada, there's going to be a very, very small severe weather risk to look out for. So by 10 p.m., these storms are going to be continuing across the Highway 41 corridor. By 11 p.m., they're becoming more scattered in nature, but they could still be strong to severe, more isolated, though, near the Marquette area. By midnight, these are mainly just going to bring a threat to Canada, all right? But by 1 and 2, we're going to see this really create a line of storms here, producing some serious damaging winds, it looks like, across parts of southern Canada. This is going to go near Sault Ste. Marie, and then by the time that we get into tomorrow here, this is what is also going to be kind of our severe weather event that plays out in the Northeast. So we've got a marginal risk of severe weather right now, for Sunday, not for tomorrow, but for Sunday here, we got a marginal risk of severe weather going out for portions of extreme western Maryland, southwest New York, western and central Pennsylvania, a little sliver of southeastern Ohio, and a good chunk of northern West Virginia here. Now, I do think this could go into a slight risk of severe weather. Reason being, if we go ahead and take a look at the NAM model here, it's actually showing a pretty organized cluster of storms, and actually a line of storms popping up in this area. We can see that, even by, just 3 p.m. on Sunday, we honestly could be dealing with some severe storms back into parts of Buffalo, New York, back towards Erie, Pennsylvania there. If you're hugging Lake Erie there, that'd be something to look out for. Now, by 4 p.m., again, damaging winds are going to be the primary concern here, extending from Lake Ontario all the way back through the Cincinnati corridor would be somewhere to look out for that. Now, we could be talking about 5, 6 p.m., those storms continuing to evolve and entering the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area. We're talking about areas like Wheeling, West Virginia, Morgantown, West Virginia, Rochester, New York. By 7, 8, 9 p.m., those storms start to die out, but we could still see an isolated strong to severe storm or two somewhere in between Pikeville, Kentucky, all the way back up through Utica, New York. We cannot rule 1 or 2 of those out, so that'd be something to look out for. But by the nighttime hours on Sunday, things should start to die down a significant amount. However, this could honestly cause some showers and thunderstorms across parts of northern New England, parts of Vermont, and upstate New York there. But anyway, that is the forecast here from our models. If you have any questions about your location, feel free to leave those down below. But now that we've got most of the forecast portion of the video out of the way, again, this is going to be kind of like a normal stream where we just chill here and chat for a little bit. The cape for this event, I'm just going to say this right now, it's going to be a very, very minimal amount, just like last night's event, where, by the way, we actually had several severe thunderstorm warnings across parts of Iowa, Illinois, and Missouri. We did see some damaging winds and large hail, but the cape values, again, are not going to be anything very significant with this event whatsoever, really. We are going to have a small batch of cape rolling through parts of the UP of Michigan, maybe western Wisconsin there, but again, it's really not going to be anything insane. I mean, we are talking, like, the only areas that are going to see storms at most are going to have, a few hundred joules per kilogram of cape, which is not anywhere near enough to, produce tornadoes, so that's kind of one of the reasons we're not going to see a lot of tornadoes out of this event. And again, going into parts of New York for that severe weather event on Sunday, not a lot changes. We're not really expecting a whole lot of cape in this area. But anyway, again, if you have any questions about your location, feel free to leave those down below. We got Cat 4 Kirk out there still just chilling. It is starting to take a downward trend here. We thought it might become a Category 5. It did not, and it's not going to. We could have Leslie take a similar path, however, likely much weaker here than Kirk was. And we actually could see a system develop in the Gulf of Mexico here within the next couple of days that could lead to a potential tropical storm heading for Florida, but it's too early to necessarily talk about the specifics there, so we'll keep you posted, but it's not going to be anything like Helene. Again, Helene was devastating. I just want to make this clear. It's not going to be anything like Helene. No reason to panic. So, anyway. Alrighty. This is going to be one of those events as well where we don't really have a lot of viewers in this area. Again, this is not really a very populated region whatsoever. Again, we've got 800,000 people under a marginal risk tomorrow, and then 7 million people under a marginal risk on Sunday. Most of those... What was that sound? I don't know what that sound was, but most of those are going to be coming out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and parts of Lake Ontario and Erie. And again, this does dip down into Appalachia a little bit, but I think for the most part, this is going to be kind of a northeast slash eastern Ohio Valley problem, if that makes sense. So, today we don't have any risk for severe weather. They do have a general thunderstorm risk out for areas hugging the coast here. The Gulf of Mexico, we got tropical moisture out there, which again could lead to a tropical storm impacting parts of Florida within the next few days. We'll talk about that more in the future. We still got hundreds of thousands of power outages across parts of Appalachia as well. North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, back through parts of Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia, back into Florida even. We've still got again, several thousand customers without power here across parts of the southeast. If we take a look at the actual state outages, we can see we've got over 200,000 in South Carolina, almost 200,000 in North Carolina, 170,000 in Georgia almost, and then 7,000 in Florida. We have got 7,000 in Virginia and over 1,000 in West Virginia. So again, things are slowly but surely getting better. And the reason these areas were able to recover so much quicker in their outages were because these areas are regions that are more populated. They are not completely swamped out. We had 30 inches of rain across parts of North Carolina, and that makes things completely uninhabitable. You can't get in there and fix things whenever there's 30 inches of rainwater. And again, all those dam failures led to much more than actually just 30 inches of rain. So that is why we are not seeing those outage numbers being restored very, to mass extent across parts of the Carolinas, if you're wondering. But, anyway. I made a forecast today. We've got a crazy number of red flag warnings right now across the Pacific Northwest, back through parts of the Rockies, the entire state of Wyoming, entire state of South Dakota, entire state of North Dakota, entire state of Nebraska. All you guys are under red flag warnings. The UP of Michigan. So make sure that you avoid burning things at all costs, because we've seen several devastating wildfires lead to evacuations, especially across parts of Wyoming along the past few days here. So some pretty serious stuff. But But yeah, if nobody has any questions, we'll probably call it early tonight here. Again, this was just meant to be a forecast stream. What's the risk for? So we have a marginal risk tomorrow for parts of Wisconsin and Michigan. And then we've got a marginal risk on Sunday for parts of the Ohio Valley back into the Great Lakes region. So those are the areas that we're going to be talking about here over the next couple of days. Again, we're talking about damaging winds being the main threat. We may see a slight risk on Thursday. It's questionable again, or sorry, on Sunday rather. I don't know where I got Thursday from. On Sunday, it's questionable. Again, it's going to be a weird setup here. But we could definitely see a couple of severe storms pop off with some damaging winds of 60 to 65 miles an hour. So potentially, again, a slight risk upgrade there. If that were to happen, it would likely be across parts of, again, western Pennsylvania, back into parts of southern New York, and maybe far northern West Virginia. Something like this would probably make sense, in my opinion. What's up, Levi? Good to see you back here once again. We'll say we do have some significant outage numbers right now across parts of the Pacific Northwest, parts of Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Montana without power after damaging winds ripped through. Again, we're seeing some significant wind gusts up there right now. If we go ahead and turn on our high wind alerts here, high wind warnings, we can see that we've got those going out for pretty much the entire state of Montana, parts of Idaho as well there. And again, these specify damaging winds anywhere from 60 miles an hour, some areas higher. It's going to just depend on, it's just going to depend on the specific areas where you're at. But again, in general, just damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour for the most part. What's up, Jesse? At one point, we did have hurricane force wind warnings in effect for parts of Alaska just a couple days ago. But those are non-existent anymore. And I don't have the high wind alerts on because whenever those get turned on, things get really messy here, and it adds to the lag because there's just so many of them. So, anyway. Models showing significant signal for Arctic blasts around the 15th, and GFS showing snow in northern New England. You love it. Yeah, the thing is the GFS has been showing, dips in the polar jet stream several times throughout the runs of the GFS that we've had come in over the past few days. And again, we could end up seeing snow in parts of New England, and also it's showing a decent signal for some sort of winter storm event potentially impacting parts of the Rockies. And that actually looks like it could be kind of the first significant winter storm event of the year, so we'll see what plays out with that. But again, yeah, we could definitely see some wintry mix if that low does come through and impacts northern New England like that. Again, that could be significant. And then it's actually showing a few days after that, not wintry mix showers, but snow showers for parts of northern New Hampshire, northern Vermont. But again, that is a very far out signal from the GFS, so it can't necessarily be trusted all that much, unfortunately. Again, I know a lot of people are excited for snow. I know a lot of other people are not excited for snow. I'm on Team Snow, personally, being a weather enthusiast, but what's up, Slup? So we do actually have a cluster of strong thunderstorms moving onto shore north of Tampa Bay here. Or sorry, they're actually moving westward. So they're not moving onto shore, but we do have some storms onshore here right along the west coast of Florida. But these were impacting areas in between Tampa and Spring Hill just a few hours ago, so. Again, dump some heavy rain, it looks like. If we turn on the storm total precipitation amounts, looks like it actually dumped a lot of rain on some of these areas in the far northern Tampa outskirts here. We can see we got 4 to 4.5 inches of rain in some spots. But if you're in downtown Tampa, you may have not gotten a drop of rain. Very scattered in nature. But again, some of our areas north of Tampa, especially areas like Erin, you saw 3 to 3.5 inches of rain. It looks like Palm Harbor, looks like you got in on about 1.5 to 2 inches of rain. East Lake looks like about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of rain. And then we get to, like, the Bradenton Beach area, and that's where we start talking about, again, some more significant totals here, 3.5 to 4 inches. I don't think it did. I don't think we had any flash flood warnings. I think we had flood advisories, but nothing too significant. But again, this area's seen a lot of rain after Helene, obviously, so they really don't need this. But unfortunately, again, it's looking like we could have a signal for a tropical storm making landfall in Florida sometime this week. Again, we'll get more details on that over the next several days. Right now, the National Hurricane Center is not putting a lot of faith in it, since we are just so late into the season at this point that it's going to be hard for any major tropical systems to develop. But we'll see what happens. Again, don't be scared. Be prepared. It's going to be nothing like Helene was, I promise you. Again, a lot of people are still rattled after Helene, but right now, the GFS does have a decently strong signal for an already developed area to watch out for that could eventually turn into a tropical depression, or again, maybe a low and tropical storm, 995 millibar low pressure system in parts of the Gulf of Mexico here. And then, again, it kind of makes a beeline for the Florida Keys. Again, I'm trying to pull this up on your screen. I don't know why it's not loading, but that is what the GFS is saying. Again, if it would like to load, that would be awesome, obviously, but it doesn't look like it's going to do that. But if this were to happen, the main threats would just be gusty winds and heavy rain, honestly. So, okay, so it doesn't want to load. That's cool. Alright, I'm not sure why that is, but that's what the GFS says. The European model shows a very, very similar picture, but actually with a much stronger system. The European is saying that we could actually see a low-end Category 1 hurricane, maybe even a little bit higher out of this. Again, it's pushing this down to a 977 millibar low-pressure system, and it's saying more of a Tampa landfall. So again, that would be like a Category 1 hurricane there, maybe low-end Category 2 hurricane. And then the Canadian model is showing something quite similar. It's pushing this thing down to around a 980 millibar low pressure system, which again would be like a high-end Category 1 hurricane. So, and again, it likes the idea kind of more of a Tampa-ish area landfall. Again, the main threats whenever you're talking about tropical storms are really just isolated storm surge. Flooding rain is the big thing, isolated tornadoes, and then some isolated damaging winds. It's not like we're going to see anything like what we did with Helene, where, we've got communities that aren't going to receive their power back for months. It's not like that. And that is true, by the way. There are going to be some spots here in Appalachia that probably don't get their power restored for months. This system brought just such an incredible amount of rain that these areas have legitimately never seen before in recorded history. And it left devastating marks across that area. The marginal risk went up at the right time. Yeah, again, the marginal risk, actually, I believe it's a little bit to the north of you, but again, that's going out for like northeast Wisconsin and the western UP of Michigan. Thank you, Sylvia. Appreciate it. Any chances this thing goes up the coast? Probably not. It's showing this likely. Again, if it develops at all into a tropical storm, it's showing this likely just making its way back out into the Atlantic after a south/central Florida landfall. So, again, no real threat if you're on the East Coast here other than for Florida. So again, a lot of our communities that are swamped out here in Appalachia are probably terrified by people talking about this, hyping it up, saying this is going to be a major hurricane. That's not going to happen. And even if it were to happen, again, these are not the areas that would be affected, but it's not going to happen. So you don't see major hurricanes in October. It just doesn't really work like that. Now, there's an exception here for Kirk. Remember, this is a season that has had historic, record-breaking sea surface temperatures and limited wind shear. So Kirk managed to become a major in very, very early October. But that is, again, the only major we've seen in October this year. And it's going to be the only major we see in October. And that is with, again, just peak conditions that you can possibly get for the October time frame. Again, record-breaking SSTs and then limited wind shear. So it's not like, we get majors in October all the time. That just does not really happen in the Atlantic anyway. So. Check CFS model 0Z, hour 5:16. Everything I own, this verifies. Hold on. Let's do... Are you talking about the monthly one or the weekly one? What's up, Tampa Air? In Tampa Air, see, we were just talking about that. Again, we could have a tropical storm develop in the Gulf here and potentially make its way towards Tampa. Again, we're talking about the potential of that, and also forecasting the severe weather threat for the next couple of days here. And I didn't even realize this, but as of 8 p.m. Eastern, this is now a code red. Excuse me. So we will have a Tropical Talks episode out sometime over the next couple of days. I'm going to be really busy this weekend, guys. I just want to make that clear right off the bat. I'm going to be super busy, but I will try to get a Tropical Talks episode out sometime this weekend. By the way, special weather statement just issued east of Provo, Utah. Strong thunderstorms producing gusty winds up to 50 miles per hour. But, again, I wish I could bring this up on your screen, but it just doesn't want to load. Let's do this. Give me just a sec. Let's go to NHC. So, this is the National Hurricane Center website here. Again, a code red now in the Gulf of Mexico. So, I know that sounds really scary and stuff, but basically all that means is that there's a 70% chance that within the next week we see a storm with tropical depression strength or greater out of this. Again, 70% chance. It's not a guarantee. They also were saying a 60% or a 50% chance just a few days ago, and it never verified that fast. So there's a chance this is wrong. Again, this has been a really tricky system to forecast, but this is it is an interesting scenario here. Again, I think it's likely that we see a tropical depression or a tropical storm out of that. This disturbance off the coast of Africa here, this is not going to be a problem again. And then we also have Leslie and Kirk, obviously. And Leslie is going to be just like Kirk, I think, other than the strength. It'll be a little weaker. What's up, Alan Crow? You're doing your essay on hurricanes? It was showing snow in D.C. on the 25th. I didn't even see that. That was amazing. I don't really storm chase that much, because I don't have my permit or my license yet, but one day. But I've never done anything that's you would officially consider storm chasing, really, but I'd love to. Sounds like a lot of fun. I'm hoping to do that. Start doing that anyway within the next couple of years, at least starting to dabble into it. There was lightning next to the plane you got on camera. Nice. Good catch. You bike chase. Bike chasing is kind of crazy. High school. It works-ish. I just go outside. That's what I do. I let it come to me. Yeah, I've just got a cold. It's not a big deal. You have no interest in storm chasing? Dang. Chad, if you want to see a storm chase stream whenever I start storm chasing, let me know. I think that'd be a really awesome thing to do. You almost been struck by lightning 2 times, but it's chill. I know Jesse has once at least. Got that dry lightning out there in Nevada. I think I will, probably. You want to see one? Sounds like the general consensus is I should do it. So, probably will end up doing that at some point. I'm tired yet. I've been tired all day. I didn't sleep very good. Can't wait for stuff in winter. Like, it starts out 31 degrees and snowing, but then warm onshore winds push the rain to precipitation. Push the precipitation to rain every time, or vice versa. One of my houses in Tampa is on Davis Islands. That's pretty cool. Where's Davis Island? Y'all are lucky you get snow. Yeah. Yeah, you don't get much of that down there in Tampa. Oh, okay, so Davis Islands is just south of downtown. East Davis Boulevard is crazy. Storm surge sucks on Davis Islands and a house blew up. That's wild. I did not realize there was something called Davis Islands in Tampa. It's pretty cool. There's a town called Davis in California. There's a town called Davis in Oklahoma, and there's a town called Davis in Illinois. I know that. So the town named Davis, Oklahoma, is actually right outside of Sulphur, which got hit by a high-end EF3 this year. Davis, California is just outside of Sacramento. It's one of the far outer suburbs. And then Davis, Illinois is just to the northwest of Rockford. Outside of the far outer Chicago suburbs. So. Alright, see you, Jack. But yeah, Davis Island. I'd never seen a Davis Island before. I didn't know that was a thing. Davis Islands channel. Davis Island Dog Park, Davis Island Yacht Club, Davis Island Waterfront. That's insane. Good night, Jack. What's the most populated town called? Davis. Davis. I think it's Davis, Oklahoma. Davis, Oklahoma population. That's almost 3,000 people. That's more than I thought it was, honestly. What about Davis, California? Okay, never mind. Davis, California has almost 70,000 people. That's wild. Davis, California. It really didn't look like that big of a city on radar. Huh. Yeah, I guess it is mostly residential, though, it looks like. In fact, it looks like it's entirely residential. It's because it's a part of Sacramento. And then Davis, Illinois, I think, is the smallest one. Yeah, Davis, Illinois only has 600 people. So. There's a McDonald's island owned by Australia. That's crazy. Alright, chat, so I think we're ending off the stream here. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Again, this was a severe weather forecast for tomorrow. We may have a stream out tomorrow going live. The first severe weather coverage stream we would have had in a while if we do end up doing that. So again, thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate it. I love doing this. I want to keep doing this every day for the rest of my life. That would be the dream. But anyway, again, I really do appreciate the support we've had on this channel recently.